Hello and welcome to the Reflections program, where we share stories that recharge and rejuvenate us. Today, I'm very happy to welcome our guest speaker, Joseph. Joseph has been meditating since 1990. In that time, he has come to appreciate the power of self-reflection and an open heart and mind. In his varied working career, Joseph has continued to develop and use the many inner powers that meditation generates. This has helped him work more effectively with others and contribute to a conducive working atmosphere. And the topic for today is blessing or curse. As Joseph says, wholeheartedly accepting life's challenges can sometimes be very difficult. However, sometimes we can be pleasantly surprised by what we have learned by a misfortune. So, is it a fortune or a misfortune? Is it a blessing or a curse? Whatever life throws at us, it's what we take out of it. So let's hear from Joseph what his story is. So a very hearty, warm welcome, Joseph, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Lata. Thank you, and welcome to everybody. So, as Lata introduced me, I was just reflecting, just very briefly, of course, about how challenging life can be, and the thought that kind of came to me when I was thinking about this topic was a sculptor, because a sculptor works with stone. Let's say if a sculptor is working in stone, then of course they have to exert a lot of physical energy to shape a stone, and they would use a hammer and a chisel, which is, it's a very they're very hard instruments. And by the time the sculptor has finished the sculpture, hopefully it's a beautiful and a moving image that's captured in the stone. But it somehow belies the amount of energy and effort it has taken to create something so hopefully beautiful and inspiring. And life can be like that sometimes, where we are handed, a really a difficult set of circumstances that we, I guess, have to come to terms with or not come to terms with. So it belies the difficulties sometimes that we do face, but also, on the other hand, the beauty and the wisdom and the riches that we can gain from being present to what is happening around us. So in my own life, as in most lives, I would think, people face lots of challenges, and I have sort of dealt with a few health issues. I had osteoporosis and transient osteoporosis, which is quite unusual for someone my age. And I had all the blood tests that were necessary, and I knew that it was something a little bit more than what I was being told, or the causes of it. And so I was, after I had seen a few specialists and so on, they suggested a certain course of action, and I was just, I wanted to explore some different possibilities. So I consulted with somebody else. I guess what I adopted and what I've learned over the ages was to have an open mind and to trust my gut instincts. And I think I've learned over time that to be responsible as much as possible for my own health and for my own life. So I felt that, I've always felt that, to look after myself, to eat well, to exercise, to look after my mental health are really important, and they affect what can manifest in the body. So the doctor suggested, 18 months of daily injections, and I didn't really feel very comfortable about that. So I consulted with a naturopath, and I just explained the situation. I said, do you think you're able to replicate what the injections might do? And she said yes, she felt that she could. She was, by the way, a complementary physician, so she wasn't working opposite to the doctor. She was just complementing what the doctor was, what the doctor had come up with. So, I was open. I thought, well, if this doesn't work, I'll consider having these injections. But I followed what she said, and it was quite simple. Just some supplements to do with calcium and other things. And I followed through with it. I was quite regular. And so initially I had to have a bone mineral density scan, and that revealed that I did have osteoporosis, which, for those who don't know, just means that there's a lack of density in the bones, and so they're much more susceptible to breaking. And after following, the course that the naturopath suggested, I had to have another bone mineral density scan, and luckily, the results were very positive. I didn't have osteoporosis anymore. I had what was called osteopenia, which means that the density in the bones there was more density in the bones. And so when I went to see the specialist, he didn't particularly ask me what I had done, but he said, whatever you were doing, just keep doing that. And I guess that was, it was, I suppose, a verification for me that, that if one is open and if one is willing to experiment, there may be something that eventuates that perhaps wasn't foreseen. I had another situation which was called transient osteoporosis, and my joints seized up, and the doctors or the specialists said also that they don't know why it happens, but it will pass, and it did pass. And but I got some different perspectives on it as well, because I guess I'm that kind of a person. I'm curious. I believe that there's not one way to do things, and I think that there are many different ways, and just being open to different possibilities, I think, is very, very useful. And with regards to the transient osteoporosis, as I said, it did change. It did pass. And but I came to kind of appreciate that, according to one person I saw, that I was carrying quite a bit of, you could say, emotional baggage. And I sort of felt that there was something in that, and that I suppose embarked on a process where I was wanting to understand myself more deeply, because I guess I've come to understand and appreciate the impact of the family that one grows up in. And sometimes we can inherit, and in fact, I think often we do inherit things from our parents that we can take as our own, and they can manifest sometimes as illness, sometimes as sickness. So I've really kind of learnt to take such opportunities as in fact an opportunity to learn and to grow, and to see if I can find a deeper kind of balance. Because I think for me, illness or sickness, however you want to frame it, is an opportunity, or it's the body saying to the self, I'm not well, there's an imbalance, and perhaps on a deeper level I need to address something. I need to bring into my being a deeper awareness of the many elements which contribute to health. So yeah, that has shaped my thinking that health is my responsibility as much as possible. If I can do as much as I can, be sensible, eat well, as I said before, a bit of exercise, or and meditate, look after the mind. Of course, what I was dealing with at the time was, there's also the emotional, there's the dealing with one's feelings and dealing with one's thoughts on the situation. So those two can play a very, very powerful, or they can have a very powerful influence on the way I deal or not deal with a situation. So I had to be aware that, I wasn't perhaps managing my emotions, or I may have been, slightly upset. I think, I was, but I think it really helped to just acknowledge the fact that, yes, I was feeling certain things, and there was an opportunity for me to try and be a little bit more objective. But if, I think, it takes time, I think, and I realized that it took time for me to get to a space or a place where I could start to exercise some sort of objectivity. And that was helped, I think, by the fact that if I was doing something every day to empower myself, that would help to give me something to work with, something quite concrete. So if my health is not so good, or for whatever reason, then I can start to become a bit more educated and get to know myself a bit more intimately in terms of my health and my thoughts and my feelings. So if I may, by doing that, I think I was starting to feel a bit more confident that I could exercise some control over what can otherwise be, something where I feel powerless over. So that was, that has been an ongoing kind of a lesson for me. And as I said right at the beginning about, the sculpture and the chisel, I think there have been a couple of different things in my life that have helped to shape me. So it hasn't really been one particular thing. Another thing that kind of helped to shape me was I've had a number of accidents, for better or for worse. And one I had last year, it was actually quite a serious accident, but I was incredibly lucky that nothing more serious happened. I was working on a building site, and I had lost my job, so I was eager to get back into the workforce, and I was a little bit overtired, and I was on the first floor of a building, and I was pulling something up from the ground floor, and I forgot that behind me was an open space. So I fell backwards into an open space from the first floor onto the ground floor. And luckily, I don't know how, but I landed on my right foot. So I didn't land on my head or my spine, which would have been extremely serious. And I took the brunt of the fall on my right foot. And so my foot, of course, broke, but it broke along the length of the bone as opposed to across the bone. And, I was extremely lucky. And so, of course, what that meant was, for better or for worse, I had to stop. I had to act, I wasn't able to do anything. And so I was in bed for, quite a number of weeks, just really being, which is, as a long-term meditator, that's something that we have to practice, or it's something that we do practice, because I know it gives me a lot of benefit. It brings a lot of benefit. So it was an extra opportunity to be with myself and to reflect and to assess. So initially, of course, such an incident would be, it's a kind of a curse, and of course, it's not a pleasant thing to have anything like that happen. But I think what really helped me was that I do have a history of meditating, and that did give me some skills that I could draw upon. And it enabled me to see things in a broader picture, in a broader kind of perspective. And one of the things that one can do and one can learn from meditation is to be able to reframe things. Because initially, if one doesn't have the practice, then everything can appear much worse than it really is, from my perspective anyway. But I think over time I was able to look at things a little differently and recognize that there were things that I needed to look at and needed to reclaim within myself, parts of my being that were dormant, and then I needed to encompass and bring into the fold, so to speak, integrate within my personality. And that was, funny as it may seem, that was an opportunity for me to do that, which I'm really, really grateful for. So I suppose, it means accepting what's happening. I had to accept what happened. I needed to, be honest with myself, deal with my feelings, deal with the way I was thinking about that situation, and then be open to the possibility that maybe there's another way I can look at this. And of course, there's always different ways we can look at things. But ultimately, is it going to empower me? And I felt, and I know that it's really important to feel not a victim of life, that that I can learn from everything and anything that happens. I can learn from the people around me. I can learn from the things that I see externally, and I can learn from the things that happen to me. So yeah, life is a great university. Life is the ultimate university where there are numerous opportunities to learn. So yes, it can help. These situations can help me to deepen my sense of self, to reflect more deeply, and then process, and then reframe and take power from what's happening. Also, I think one of the things, the amazing things, and the paradoxes, I think, that I've come to appreciate is that life is full of rites of passage. You know, we could say initiations. There are things that sometimes happen to us, and they can either break us or make us. Or as they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And there are those times in life where we may be faced with a very, very challenging situation. And I guess for me, I've tried to look at those as rites of passage, which means you're going to go through a little bit of difficulty. And when you go through that situation, you're going to feel, or it's quite possible that you may feel very different about yourself and the world around you. And in fact, you know, access things within yourself that you haven't been able to: riches, wisdom, new insights, new ways of being, new energy, such that the challenges that may come in the future may not have as much of an impact. So I'm, you know, eternally grateful for that opportunity to, you know, to be able to take stock and to learn from those situations. I think traditionally in cultures, they would have initiation ceremonies for men and women, and it would be the way of transitioning from a boy to a man, or a girl to a woman. And there would be specific ceremonies that would help the child understand that now they're becoming an adult, and in life, and as an adult, I have to think of the world. I have to look at the world and look differently. I have to change my perspective, because more will be expected of me. Life will throw curveballs. Life will throw challenges at you, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to face it? So those ceremonies were there to prepare young boys and girls for what life might hand them. And, you know, the positive thing is that, yes, we can handle them. We can handle them if we allow ourselves time to process and develop strengths within ourselves, which we all have. Some people spend the time for one reason or the other developing them. Other people may not have grown up in such an environment whereby they've developed them, but we all have that capacity to develop and grow and become resilient to what can happen to us. So I think that's more or less, I think, summed up what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I was just thinking of the image, like the phrase that they say, there's light at the end of every tunnel, but then it seems like it's for us to determine when we want the light. So how we take it is how sooner we'll see the light, in a way. Like if we are in a positive mindset and we take it as a boon or a blessing, then we're able to come out of that situation. Though externally it may not have changed, but internally it's already given us light or a lesson that we have to take out of it. So
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, actually, because we, as you said, we may still be in the tunnel, but because our consciousness is colored, we have a different way of looking at things. It lessens the impact of the challenge that we're in. I think that's a very subtle but a very, very important, I think, point to take, you know, to carry with us. Yeah. Because if we're in a tunnel, for example, we may be almost at the end of the tunnel, but until we break through to the other side, we're still in darkness. And then in a split second, we're through. Yeah.
So wonderful. Thank you for sharing those insights with us today and your experiences. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, that meditation over these years has helped with dealing with the situation or changing the way we look at it and getting the blessing out of it instead of taking it as a curse.
That's right, exactly. And I think the thing is, the heartening thing, everyone has different challenges. So for one person, a challenge may not be, for one person, it may be a challenge. For another person, it may be nothing. So it's, I suppose we never compare ourselves with another person, you know, respect the challenges that you're going through. And I think, you know, as a final point, I would say you can get through it. If you can't get through it, maybe there are people in your life who are maybe a little bit more positive, or they've got a bit more experience, and you can sometimes, you know, be aided and helped, you know, by just listening to what they've been through. And you know, you can get through it. We can all get through these things if we just give ourselves time and space, and to cultivate what we naturally have inside of ourselves.
That's wonderful. We will be able to get through it no matter what, isn't it? Yes. So on that note, maybe if you would like to lead us into a little meditation experience for about
Yes.
5 minutes, that would be
Sure.
good.
Okay. So just breathing nice and gently. We just imagine that this moment is an eternal moment. Right now is everything. And so as we breathe in, breathe out nice and gently, we are just settling into this moment, this eternal moment. The process of moving into something new within ourselves starts now. It starts in the now. So I just reflect, and I reflect about myself. And I have that thought that there is much more to me, perhaps, than I can see. That perhaps I'm like this very old tree whose roots are very, very deep, very strong and very stable. So what is seen externally may not always reflect what is on the inside. So as I breathe in and I breathe out, I just allow myself to find that beautiful space within myself. Space where my roots, my deep roots lie, where all my powers and my virtues, all my strengths are. And my strengths enable me to embrace my weaknesses. So I accept the fact that I may not be as I would like to be right now, but I have that capacity. I have that capacity to grow into my weaknesses, to embrace them, and to express that in my waking life. Whatever I'm going through, as challenging as it may be, not alone. There are many challenges that are happening in this world. Many, many people across all the borders. I have a feeling, a gut feeling, or the faith that I can get through whatever I need to get through if I give myself time, I create and allow myself to be in a space where I can come to know myself much more intimately. So if I was a team, I would want all the players on my team to be working together, knowing the sum of all the parts are much greater than the individual parts. meaning that if we work together with all the different parts of our personalities, the humorous side, the serious side, the reflective side, and all the other sides, maybe even the sad side, the depressing side, we can embrace all of them and allow them to be welcomed and integrated within us. And when we have that integration, when we have that acceptance, then we draw upon the strengths of every part of ourselves. Naturally, we become resilient, we become multi-dimensional, capacity to love, to be loved, to forgive ourselves and others, face the challenges and accept our shortcomings and learn from everyone and everything. So we are truly amazing when we begin to explore who we are, who we truly are. The beings of light and positivity. Light is expansive, all-encompassing, it's unlimited. Let me just embrace that unlimited aspect of myself. All-encompassing part. That is open to solutions. Breathe in, breathe out. So I'm just taking in all that I truly am, releasing any sense of limitation. I can't, embracing the I can. Tap into something much deeper, universal power, a universal light, loving, very healing, very accepting. Come to this place, revisit this place as often as I need.
Thank you very much, Joseph. It's
Thank
really
you, Lana.
beautiful. And thank you for our online viewers who have joined. And if you would like to know more about us, please do visit our website, www.brahmakumaris.org.au. You could find all our programs listed up there. And if you would like to visit any of our local centers, you're welcome to. If you would like to write to us, you could do so as well. So thank you once again for joining us. And we'll see you again in another episode with another interesting story. Till then, take care and keep receiving blessings to all whatever life throws at you. Thank you.